Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Elise. If you're new here, today I have got a quick video, just 10 minutes, showing you how to do some heat embossing with a stencil. And I'm also putting together this fish from Make a Fish from Waffle Flower Crafts. And keep watching to see how I make this card. So let's start out with the stencil embossing. So this stencil is Mermaid Waves from Hero Arts. And I am going to do some heat embossing with this stencil. I wanted a tone-on-tone look, so heat embossing with clear really made a lot of sense. I've got my stencil and my cardstock, which I've already cut down. At first I thought I was going to tape this on the outside. I really don't know why. So I'm just going to tape that down so that the paper doesn't move around, because using my VersaMark ink, I am going to heavily and generously stamp down through this stencil. So just taking that ink pad and smushing, and I am pressing hard, and I am going to keep pressing until I see a noticeable change in the color of the cardstock everywhere that the stencil is exposed. So I'm just going through, stamping down, pressing down. I do a little bit of gliding, but my thing is, if you glide with this, you really just get the stencil. So here when I peel up, you can see what that VersaMark has done. Now you could leave it like this. VersaMark will dry, and it is a watermark ink, so it will leave that impression. But I wanted to use some embossing powder. So I'm going to use clear embossing powder, again from Hero Arts. This is my favorite clear embossing powder. And I'm just going through and adding that on, and this is going to add for just some tone-on-tone color and a little bit of shimmer. I really love the look this creates. So just going through, like I said, making sure everything is covered, and then I will go ahead and heat set this card panel. And you can see the difference there that this makes. I just love the way that this turned out, and I think that you could use this technique with a lot of stencils and for a lot of projects. Now to the Make a Fish portion. So I've got all of the dies just set out on their respective colored cardstocks, and I'm just going through and taping all of the dies down with purple tape. I'll run those through my Gemini Junior, and now I can get on to building the fish. Now I've linked down below all of the supplies that I'm using, as well as on Waffle Flower Crafts, there is a really good PDF template on how to put this fish together. So while I'm making the fish, I'm not going to talk about how I'm doing this, though a couple things I will say. I tried to do the pieces like this flower where there's something on top, and I wanted that to dry first before I adhered this down onto the fish itself. I'm also using liquid glue for all of this, Gina K Connect glue. I can't see you doing this with any other kind of adhesive, if I'm being honest. Usually I feel like there's lots of options for adhesive, but this time I think liquid glue really does the trick. So while you watch me build this fish and put together the die cuts, I do want to talk about this upcoming month, April, as I am uploading this. It is the very end of March. We are celebrating because Waffle Flower is turning 6. I cannot believe that they have been in business for 6 years. It's so very exciting. I'll talk about this more in other videos in the coming weeks as we celebrate Waffle Flower, but the people there are so incredibly amazing. And I know that I have a slight bias. I am on their design team, if you don't know. And it's, and I think I'll always have such a love for them, only because it's the first design team I was ever placed on. And so all of the people there are so very special to me. And I just love them and what the company stands for. But the cool thing is that, so basically every day we are celebrating one of the illustrators that Waffle Flower employs to make their stamps and dies with. So today we're celebrating Flora, who made this Build a Fish stamp set. or die set, excuse me. And you can go over on Waffle Flower on their YouTube, which I'll have linked below, and their Instagram, which I'll also have linked below. You can go in and every day enter to win gift cards and prize packages. This is going to go on for, I think, 10 days. It's very exciting. There's so much to be won. So please, please, please be sure that you go down and check out those links so you can enter in to win those giveaways. Over the next little over a week, the design team will also have new projects for you all to look at and maybe get a little bit of inspiration from. I know that when I look at whether or not I'm going to buy a stamp and die set, I often look at the design team samples to see the types of things that I can make with them. So that's just a little bit about the Waffle Flower celebration. I really hope that you join in and enter to win some of those giveaways. They're really generous and would be great to start building a Waffle Flower collection if you don't already have one. Okay, so we're just finishing up this die cut, and then we will move along to finishing off this card. So I'm going to stamp the sentiment from the Make a Fish stamp set. It says birthday fishes. I think that's the one I use. Yeah, birthday fishes. And I'm just going to heat emboss that onto some Gina K in the navy cardstock with white Hero Arts embossing powder. That's the same navy cardstock that I used for the body of the fish as a whole. So I am just going to coat that, and then I can heat set it. And eventually I will go ahead and cut down that sentiment into a smaller banner. So I've just heated up my heat gun. It's still a little bit warm from using it earlier. I'm just going to go ahead and get that totally embossed and smooth and melted. Basically, you want to heat emboss until you don't see any powder. Everything should be shiny. So just going in and heat embossing that, and then we can move on to final building of this. So really quick, I did take a white gel pen and added a few accents onto my fish. I don't always do this. It does add something, but I rarely ever do this to colored images. But I think for something that's all die cut, and especially, lots of times when I do an all die cut card, I'll ink blend the paper to make it look a little bit more dimensional, but I didn't this time because there's so many itty bitty tiny pieces on this. And so I just wanted to add a little bit of white gel pen to make it look more dimensional. So just going through, adding little details here and there, and just getting it the way that I like it. And then I can move on to building my card. Now that I've got all of that white gel pen done, I'm going to make my card base. Nina Classic Crest Solar White 110 pound that I am scoring in to make an A2 card. I'm going to use some 3M foam tape just to pop up that panel with the heat embossing that I did earlier. Going to place that down. Then I will use that same liquid glue to glue down my fish and get that totally coated and add to that panel. From there, I will take that Make a Fish sentiment banner that says birthday fishes, and I will pop that up with some of that same foam tape just to add a little bit of dimension where the sentiment is placed. And that really completes my card for today. All in all, this card took me about 40 minutes to make. For me, that's really not so bad, especially with all of this die cutting. Like I said, all of the links to the giveaways for Waffle Flower, their account, so you can go follow and enter into these giveaways, are linked down below, as well as all of the supplies I used today. I hope that you enjoyed watching me make this card today, and be sure to subscribe and like this video so that I know that you like this kind of content, and I will catch you in the next one. Thank you so much.